reads in 1 Corinthians, number 15, chapter number 15, verse 35. But some men will say, how are the dead raised up, and with what body do they come? Fool, that which thou sowest is not quickened except it die. And that which thou sowest not that body that shall be, but bear grain. It may chance of wheat or of some other grain. But God giveth it a body as it hath pleased him, and to every seed his own body. All flesh is not the same flesh, but there is one kind of flesh of men, another flesh of beasts, another of fishes, and another of birds. There are also celestial bodies and bodies terrestrial. But the glory of the celestial is one, the glory of the terrestrial is another. There is one glory of the sun, another glory of the moon, and another glory of the stars. For one star differeth from another star in glory. So also is the resurrection of the dead. It is sown in corruption, it is raised in incorruption. It is sown in dishonor, it is raised in glory. It is sown in weakness, it is raised in power. It is sown a natural body, it is raised a spiritual body. There is a natural body and there is a spiritual body. And so it is written, the first man, Adam, was made a living soul, but the last Adam was made a quickening spirit. Howbeit, that was not first which is spiritual, but that which is natural, and afterward that which is spiritual. The first man is of the earth, earthly. The second man is the Lord from heaven. As is the earthy, such as they also that are earthy, and as is the heavenly, such are they also that are heavenly. And as we have borne the image of the earthy, we shall also bear the image of the heavenly. Now this I say, brethren, that flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of God, neither doth corruption inherit incorruption. Behold, I shew you a mystery. We shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump. For the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed. For this corruptible must put on incorruption, and this mortal must put on immortality. So when this corruptible shall have put on incorruption, and this mortal shall have put on immortality, then shall be brought to pass the saying that is written, death is swallowed up in victory. O death, where is thy sting? O grave, where is thy victory? The sting of death is sin, and the strength of sin is the law. But thanks be to God, which giveth us the victory through our Lord Jesus Christ. Therefore, my beloved brethren, be ye steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord, for as much as ye know that your labor is not in vain in the Lord. Paul is now completing this paragraph of chapter 15, continuing the wonderful thought of the doctrine of the bodily resurrection of the saint of God. Who is the saint of God? It's you and me who are saved by God's wonderful grace, His encompassing love, His forgiving life that gives us eternal life. And Paul begins this postulation of philosophical ideas right here in the Scripture, because Paul studied under Gamaliel. I mean, he was a brilliant philosophical mind. And so he starts asking some philosophical questions. Well, before you get a crop, Paul says, do you not put some grain into the earth? Don't you have to put seeds in? And the answer is yes. When you and I think this summer, when the corn comes in, my wife loves corn. She loves corn and beets like a child does candy or ice cream. And just think about that corn when it reaches about 6 foot high, bright green, with a few little yellow strips of that bright green, and then you get that big corn cob, and you get it all prepared, you boil it down, and some people grill it. Damien has spoken about grilling some corn before. I had some corn one time that he grilled, and it was so good. But you take that corn when it's a finished product, and you put that corn cob on the plate. Don't get margarine, unless you have to. Now, if you live by a doctor's orders, you follow his orders.
But if you can, get some real Land of Lakes butter. And don't be stingy with your butter. I mean, if you're going to use butter, you got to pay for it. I mean, use it. Take a big spoonful and just put it all over that corn. And that's the way you enjoy it. So there's the corn. It's on your plate. You ever seen corn with light, small uprisings of steam coming off the plate? You see that butter and you say, oh, that's some cold tea is going to be so good. Well, now that's the corn. You got it on your plate. You're going to eat. You're going to be satisfied. There's going to be a nutritional value added to your body. But that's not the way it begins. It doesn't begin with a corn cob on your plate with butter. It begins with some seeds. Dry, unattractive, unappealing seeds that somebody puts in the ground. But you're not going to get the corn on the plate with the butter and the tea unless you take some unattractive little seeds and put them in the ground. So here's what Paul's saying. You want to live forever? Come to Christ. You want to go to heaven? Then die. What, Paul? You want to go to heaven? You got to die. Other than the rapture, you got to die. For it's appointed unto man wants to die. You and I are going to die. We're dying right now. We may not feel like we are, but we are. We're dying. You want to go to heaven? You're going to die. Thank God you only died once. You don't want to die? Then never be born. I want to tell you, with the heartaches that life gives us, and the older you live, the more you incur and receive a reservoir of disappointments and heartaches. You and I can fill up a chapter full of them. Somebody make it fill up a book full. I'm going to tell you something. Better to have lived and lost and hurt than to have never lived at all. Because I'm going to tell you, if in life there has been someone, and I admit there are some individuals in this life that we live that don't know what love is, and that's sad. But if you've lived and you've at least had one person to love you, to really care, to really be interested, not to see what they can get back, but to really care. I'm going to tell you that makes all the heartaches right. Now, it doesn't make you and I say, oh, good gumdrop, we should to have some persecution and heartaches and bills to pay. No. But it makes life worth it. So Paul says, you want to be born? You want to live? All right, you're going to die. There is the natural ending of life on this earth. Paul then goes into this dichotomy and this contrast of there's life, there's death. There's this earthly life, there's heavenly life. There is terrestrial, earthly, and then there's celestial, glorious. So Paul says it all comes down to the point and the power, the efficacy of the resurrection of Jesus Christ. So he concludes chapter 15 by saying, here is the resurrection. It's got an ugly beginning and a glorious finish. Here's the beginning. Here's the ugly beginning. The beginning of the end is when Paul says, this body must put on corruption. One day this week, came in from the hospital, sat down to make me a little snack, and I cut the TV on. And because I knew I didn't have long, I didn't want to start reading anything because I had to go back out. And I cut it on my favorite channel, ID. and there was this wonderful couple in it, and it had me hooked for a few minutes. I got to watch it to catch the gist of it and to see. I was into it enough. I didn't get to see the beginning, but I got to see the ending of it. And since it was a couple from South Carolina, where I spent most of my adult years, I was a couple in South Carolina, had sold home and gone to Florida and retired, and it was a couple. They were only in their early 60s. But before they had gone, all their life they lived in Charleston, South Carolina, and their neighbor had a daughter, the age of their daughter, and their neighbor's daughter would come to their house, and they treated her like a daughter, and they loved her like a daughter. And so when the family moves and goes to Florida, they've been there for several years, the doorbell rings, and unexpectedly, here's the neighbor's daughter. And they welcome her in, and she's got a boyfriend with her. And they come in, they spend the night, and during the night, the girl, in her 20s, she's about 30, sneaks into their den where they keep their private papers and sees how much money that they have in the bank. And since they'd sold their house, they had $99,000. And they were frugal. The couple didn't go out much. They enjoyed each other. They enjoyed just staying home and cooking. And what that young lady saw was $99,000 that she wanted. And she got her boyfriend to go get two other guys. Now, they left the next day. And the boyfriend comes in with two other guys, takes this couple that had treated this girl like a dog, take them up, put them in the back of their car, and drove them out in the middle of the woods and buried them alive. Because after they had got their ID and number from their bank card. Now look, this is a perfect example of what Paul's talking about here. Buried them alive. And they had actors portraying how that they were, and this girl comes on the scene who is acted like a daughter, been like a daughter. No problems between the two people and this girl. They loved her and they were giving her whatever they could to help her, but she wanted to know. And she stood there and watched as the boyfriend and the two thugs throw dirt in on them until, of course, the dirt smothered. This is what Paul's talking about. When a human body dies, I'm thankful for a funeral home. I was talking with a lady I'd never met before. She just struck up a conversation. We happened to be in the same waiting area. And she's a retired school teacher who is now a director of a funeral home. She says, now, and I told her I was a minister. And she said, well, I know you're thinking that's kind of a leap going from the teaching to being a funeral home director. I said, well, it's very admirable what you have done as teacher and now in a funeral home. Funeral homes respectfully place a body in a reposing situation that is one that brings honor to a life. When you take a human body and discard life and have no respect for it, and you take two very good people and put them in a grave and bury them alive, here's what Paul says. The body is sown, that is buried in corruption. The human body, when it dies, it's in a state of corruption. And the funeral home does what it could. Can I give you this little tidbit? And if you haven't eaten, forget that I said this. Because if you're going to eat after, this may be a little upsetting. Formaldehyde does not preserve the body. It's not the purpose of formaldehyde. Formaldehyde, now it will give a preservative effect only for a little while, but not long. Its basic principle and properties are not to preserve the body, but to keep down bacteria, because a dead body is filled within hours full of bacteria. So we're buried in corruption. We're buried in corruption. We die in corruption. But Paul said we are raised by the power of the resurrection in incorruption. Incorruption. None of us take every idle thought that we have and think, one day I'm going to be in a casket. One day somebody's going to preach mine. We don't want that. That's morbid. That's morbid. And you've never heard me present a lecture like this to this point of talking about death and the body and corruption, because we're dealing with passage after passage, and it's here. Paul said it's corruption. But ladies and gentlemen, it would do us good once in a while, maybe once a year, just to picture our funeral. And to go through our mind and see us put in front of a church or a funeral home, wherever you desire to have your funeral. And to see that, because as the last funeral that I did in South Carolina 2 weeks ago, the Baptist preacher who spoke before me, he said this, he said, until you're ready to die, you're not ready to live. I thought that was great. I thought that was great. Until you're ready to die, you're not ready to live. So Paul said, here we go. We're going to die. The body does die, and it's in corruption. But then he says, but in incorruption. That is, the word here means perfection. Perfection. I was driving by, I think it was Riverside, and I saw this little, this storefront company. It's a nice, attractive place, and it says, beyond perfection. And Carol was with me, I nudged her. And I said, now how do you get beyond perfection? And she said, it has to be a spa or something like that. I said, let's turn around out of it. So we had a few minutes. I said, I want to see what they do. And we went by, and sure enough, it's a spa. They give you foot massages. And she said, boy, that would be great. I said, no, it wouldn't. Because if I touch my foot even with a feather, I'm going through the roof. Now, she would love this. But it's beyond perfection. I want to tell you that's what the word is here. It's a super abounding perfection. It's a perfection that's heavenly, not earthly. Not earthly. There was this actor 30 years ago called himself Mr. Perfect. Mr. Perfect. And he died before he was 45. And a perfect specimen of an individual, and an athlete too. But we don't know what perfection is. We use that word, and I do too. We use it sometimes for a little hyperbole, a little bit of an exaggeration. But Paul said, you want to know what perfection is? It's when Jesus Christ raises us out of a corrupt grave in the power of perfection. Paul says, we're not only sown, that is buried in corruption, we are sown, we're buried in dishonor. Dishonor. Think back, we'll do it quickly and we'll move on. Think about that couple buried alive. A good couple, giving couple. And it was said on the TV that they were the most generous and kind and caring couple. Yet, buried in dishonor. How dishonorable to treat a human body like that. Thank God for our police officers. Thank God for our law enforcement. And they were able to track this woman down and her boyfriend and the two thugs. And I was so glad I got to see that, the last of it, when those police officers burst through that door with guns drawn and, oh boy, and said, feet back and spread them. I said, handcuff them. And I quoted, what's the Hawaii 5-0? I said, book them down. Book them, collar them, cuff them. Throw them in the back seat of the car. Don't put a pillow on the head either. Take them on. And a couple of them got the death sentence. Oh, my God. So, what dishonor to those human bodies. What dishonor to good people. And the husband and wife were unearthed. They were holding each other. Oh. But he said, we're sown in dishonor. We're raised in glory. What is glory? It's what I mentioned Sunday morning about that shining, radiant brilliance of eternity. That's glory. Then he said, we're sown, that is, we're buried in weakness. Oh, once in a while, I'm with a sweet saint who knows the end is near and is depleted of their energy and strength and stamina, that they'll whisper, oh, preacher, I just want to go on to my heaven and home. Preacher, I'm just tired. Just tired. I want to go on. That's because of such weakness that encompasses the body, that subdues our otherwise naturally strong, vivacious organs. But Paul said, we're raised in power. Eternal power. Eternal power. I want you to know right now, just think of the funerals we've had this year. And think of the funerals just the last few years. Every one of those sweet saints of God that we funeralized and wept beside are now in glory with power, strength. Paul said, we on this earth, when God created man, He made him a living spirit. But Jesus that's the first Adam. And from the first Adam, we get our living processes of life and DNA. But the second Adam, Jesus, He comes and gives everyone eternal life. And we are eternal beings, but we can have eternal damnation if we don't receive Christ. Oh, we have eternal life, and it's glorious. I simply pray a prayer and really mean it. Just saying, Lord, remember me, forgive me my sins. Be in heaven forever. This earthly life hangs on a very fragile thread. It is easier to die than it is to live. It is. You think about it. It is more difficult to keep the human body alive than it is to pass away. It's easy to pass away. It's easy to pass away. But when we do pass away, I want you to know we're going to soar in the freedom of power. No 747 could fly with greater luxury than how you and I are going to fly. No supersonic jet that can break the sound barrier is going to go faster and more powerful. Wherever we want to go, we can. Oh, heaven is an unlimited place. And then you think about Jesus in His post-resurrection body. Think about this. Think about this. Jesus was in the resurrection body, and yet what did He do? He ate. He went through doors. Imagine. There was my first year here. I locked myself out of the house. With all that we had going on, having to live in Saddle City, make the 3-hour round trip. I came up here, and had just got into Bob and Maria giving us the privilege to be in their little rental house. And so we hadn't been able to, it took us a year and a half to sell the other house. And I locked myself out. Oh, how frustrating. And who had a key? Bob did. And Shirley Marie didn't. And I couldn't find Bob. Oh, it was miserable. It was miserable. I mean, my car, I just stood out there in the little shade tree for 3 hours. But look, when I'm in that resurrection body, I will not need my keys. Now, I appreciate keys because as smart as my wife is, the first thing she asks for in the morning, the first thing she asks for is, Jerry, can I have a glass of water? The second thing she asks for is, Jerry, where are my keys? I say, well, I forgot where I put them after I turned your car ignition off. And we have a little fun. And then I get her keys back. I smile because I know a couple of you in this church, you have the same malady. You're brilliant people, but I find that just smart people, I don't know why, the most brilliant people, and I mean that. Some of the most brilliant people in the world cannot keep up with the little thing called keys. Now, if you're having a problem with it, really, some of the most brilliant people cannot keep up with the keys. We're not going to need them when we come back. We're not going to need them. And then if we do not die, we've got the prospect of the rapture. Paul said, we shall be, the dead in Christ shall be raised, because all those with Christ, you hear me say this at every funeral, all those with Christ who have died, they're in the presence of the Lord. He said, this day to the thief on the cross, you'll be with me in paradise. The thief said, remember me. Jesus said, I give you the promise, you'll be with me forever. And He took him to heaven. And there He is, and there are all the saints of God up there, your mom and your dad, those who believed in Christ, they're with Him. In the rapture, the Spirit's coming back to this earth. They're going to be instantly come into the body, and the Spirit and the body will be instantly glorified. The dead in Christ then shall be resurrected, and we which are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the clouds of the air. Now, a couple of weeks ago in South Carolina, we had the church packed out for that dear lady's funeral, and I'm by the graveside, and then somebody came up to me and they said, "Thank you for explaining it. I've been wondering for 20 years, how is it that my loved ones can be there, and yet we talk about a rapture?" And so this truth is important. You hear me? I know I sound like a stuck record, and I apologize for that. But so many folks keep asking me this question, and it's a great question. If the pastor hasn't gone over this, the Spirit's coming back to the body. The body's going to be glorified and instantly be called to God in heaven. And we which are alive and remain on the earth, and it can happen right now. It can happen in the next moment. We'll be caught up with Him, and instantly we'll be glorified, and we'll be caught up together with Him in the clouds of the air, and so shall we ever be. And then here's how Paul concludes it. Stand with me, please. Help me finish. Here's what Paul says. Therefore be immovable. What does it mean? Immovable from the pathway of holiness. Now, what's he talking about there? From simply doing right, having compassion, loving people, being kind. Don't remove yourself from what God expects you to be. Do not be immovable. Immovable from the path of righteousness. Immovable from the highway of holiness. Stay humble. Stay pure in your heart. Stay repentant in your life. And then he says, always abounding in the work of the Lord. Why? Because your work's not in vain. Think about the times, as we've covered the other 3 Wednesday nights in the first 2 paragraphs of chapter 15, how many times Paul said, if you don't believe in the resurrection, your faith is in vain. If you don't believe that Jesus rose from the dead and that you're going to rise too, then all that you believe and all that we preach is in vain. And now Paul says, but when you know that you know, when you know that you know, your work is not in vain. You're abounding in the work of God because you know where you're headed. You not only got your mission statement in your heart that I'm to live for Him and to be immovable, abounding in the work of the Lord, and that all that I do for Him is not in vain. That's why if you just give a cup of cold water in Jesus' name, you will be rewarded for that. Nothing is in vain when you believe in God. Nothing is in vain. Remember what Solomon said in I close. Solomon had all the pleasurable experiences of human life. So many wonderful, pleasurable experiences. Yes, you and I agree to that. We're human beings. There are many pleasurable experiences in every area, realm of life. Whether it's sitting on a riverbank and looking at a river just flow gently over rocks. And the sunlight hits the river. In the fall, looking at the leaves. Or the pleasure of eating your favorite meal. Or just some wonderful pleasure that you just enjoy that time will not allow to mention in this closing moment. Those are not pleasure. But you know what Solomon said? He had all the pleasures of life. He had them all. Every day he had them all. And Solomon said at the end of it, it's nothing but vanity. Vanity of vanities. If a person lives for only this life, Solomon says, it's all vain. And Paul comes along and says, but if you believe in Jesus, you will rise again, and nothing is in vain. Oh, glory to God. Oh, hallelujah. Oh, praise His wonderful name. Nothing is in vain. We're abounding in the love of Almighty. And one of Brother Sam Mark, would you close us in prayer?
Heavenly Father,